Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice for radio, so today you can hear me commentating a Pokémon trading card game. More importantly, this is a game in the very first weekend where Ancient Origins is legal. And we have just rotated as well, so we are playing from XY until Ancient Origins. So if you're trying to get acquainted in a new standard format, I would say watching some of these videos is a very, very good place to start indeed. I should also note that due to time restrictions on the day these games were played as a best of one, and I should give a huge thank you to the lovely people at Athena Games, who not only allowed me to record on the day, but actually went out of their way to help me to do so. Round 3 features me playing Vileplume Miltank, a deck which I thought would be a lot of fun, but I knew it had significant flaws going in. More on those in the video. And I'm going to be playing against Belton with his Tyranitar Bats deck. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, on the left we have Belton, and on the right we have me, with my wonderful playmat. Now, Will is going to be playing Tyranitar Bats, and I am going to be playing Vileplume Miltank. Now, this is a deck that I will be talking about on my podcast this week, PTCGRadio, which I believe will be week 161, but it's a very simple kind of deck. All you need to do is get your Vileplume Miltank set up on turn 1 to hit for 80 for 100 while slowing your opponent down. And generally speaking, one of two things is going to happen with this deck. Either your opponent is going to have nothing and you're going to win in a few turns, or your opponent is going to be able to one-hit KO a Miltank and you're screwed entirely. I'm also playing Latios EX because you can attack on turn 1 for 40 damage, and I play a couple of Muscle Band in this list despite it being Vileplume. So hopefully for 60, and I am going for, I tried to build the fastest version of this deck that I can. I'm going for the turn 1 Vileplume. Now, Will, for his part, is playing Tyranitar with bats, and he's got Yveltal in there as well. So what he's going to be trying to do is just trying to set up his Mega Tyranitar. Now, it's going to be slow, especially under Trainer Lock, but if he can't set up the Mega Tyranitar, he's screwed. If he can set up the Mega Tyranitar, then he's going to be in a position where he could just sit there one-hit KOing Miltanks while I'm free-hit KOing Mega Tyranitar. And that's probably not going to end very well for me. So we shall see. Like I say, I've tried to build this deck in such a way that I get going very fast. I'm trying to win kind of early because it has very little late game. This isn't like something like Giratina Vileplume, which can hang a little bit better. So I believe I've won the flip here, and I'm hoping that he's gone for Zubat, and he hasn't. So although I can do a turn 140, assuming I hit an energy, I'm not going to be able to KO 130 HP Yveltal straight out of the gate. So I'm going to play an Ultra Ball there, getting rid of a looks like a Lysandra and an AZ. Not cards I want to get rid of, especially AZ. AZ is huge when you've got the trainer lock up, because it allows you to pick up a Vileplume, and I've got a fairly trainer-heavy deck. It allows you to pick up a Vileplume, play a whole bunch of trainers, draw into everything you need, and then play the Vileplume down again, in the same way your opponent might play a Hex Maniac to give themselves a turn off supporters. But it also helps you to get Vileplume out of the active if it's Lysandra'd up, or it allows you to reuse a Shaman, or heal a Latios, or just get it off the bench, etc, etc. But I've had to get rid of them in order for an Oddish, and I've just had to kill a Gloom there, but I drew into an Ultra Ball, and I've had to kill a Vileplume and a Switch. I don't want to kill a Vileplume or a Switch, but unfortunately I need to get a Shaman to draw more cards. And that's the thing you kind of get with this deck. I'm unclumping because I'm using these old base set Hollow Energies, which are beautiful, but they clump like nobody's business. If you don't like clumping, gutted. Watch me clump. Isn't it lovely? Clumping, etc. So the problem with this deck is I've basically built it out of speed, and because you don't really have much of a late game, it really is an entire focus on I'm getting me a turn 1 Vileplume. So I've had to dump an AZ and a Lysandra, which I don't want to do. I've had to dump a Switch. Now I played 2 Switch. I don't want Latios in the active. I want Miltank in the active. But I've just had to dump a Switch, and I've had to go for a Shaman so that I can draw a few cards here. But if I can get a Forest of Giant Plants and an Oddish and a Vileplume, I'm going to have turn 1 Trainer Lock on my opponent. So he's going to have, nothing he can do there. So, what can I do? Now, I've got the Oddish. Now, I am playing... I've got a Miltank there. Really wish I had a switch at this point. Having a switch at this stage would be awesome. So I'm thinking about the Muscle Band, I'm thinking about the Maths. It doesn't work out very well, unfortunately. We see a Trainer's Mail coming down. I am going to do a testing deck. Oh, and I get a Forest of Giant Plants, which is exactly what I'm after. I will be doing a testing deck breakdown on this deck in the near future, where I explain, all about it and the exact deck list. I will even give you the deck list and the choices I've made. And I've got another Trainer's Mail. I am playing for speed here. I think I'm playing 4 Trainer's Mail, 4 Acrobike. Like 3 Ultra Ball, couple of Shaman, 2 Unknown, 2 Level Ball. I am going all out here. Now, in terms of the mass, Latios does 40 for a single Psychic Energy. You add a Muscle Band, it does 60. Unfortunately, Eviltal's got 130, which is why I want the Miltank active. Miltank does a minimum of 80, which means I'll be 2-hit KOing. Whereas Latios does a maximum of 60, which means I am 3-hit KOing, because after 2 hits, I'll be doing 120. Now, I play my first supporter for the turn after benching a second Oddish, because I don't want to be in a position with only 1 Vileplume lest it gets KO'd. There goes the Psychic Energy. I'm playing 7 of them, so I should be hitting it. And I have an Unknown, which I bin to try and draw a card, and it is another Trainer's Mail. And I'm going to use that to get an Ultra Ball. And I don't know if I've got a Vileplume in hand, but I definitely don't have a Gloom, so presumably I'm going to use the Ultra Ball to get myself a Gloom, one would imagine. But first, no, I'm going to play a Level Ball to get myself a Gloom, and I've got the Ultra Ball in hand and the Forest of Giant Plants on the field, so we know at this stage I've got the turn 1 Vileplume with Latios hitting for 60. Were I going second, Miltank would be better. Going first, it really is a bit of a toss-up. The problem is, I don't want that Latios in, and I've had to bin 2 Forest of Giant Plants with an Ultra Ball there. My thinking is twofold. Firstly, I only really need Forest of Giant Plants if I'm going to use AZ to recover the Vileplume and redo it. And secondly, Tyranitar doesn't have any good stadiums. The only reason to play stadiums is to counter my stadium, but there's no really good ones that they're going to be looking for there. So my opponent is Trainer Locked, he can't play any items, and I've done 60 damage to his Yveltal. Now ideally next turn I'm going to have an AZ, a Switch and an Energy, and that is a brutal Sycamore from him there. You see he's had to bin 2 Megas, we assume he's playing free because most people do play free, and a DCE. But remember, it's a fully charged Tyranitar, maybe Mega, but really it's a fully charged Tyranitar, which is going to be a problem here. That's what we're not wanting. So as long as he doesn't get a fully charged Tyranitar, I'm going to be okay. And he's going to need 2 basic energy and a double colourless. Now, starting Yveltal is a big boon for him because, of course, Yveltal's attack does 30 damage and attaches a dark energy to a Pokemon on the bench. We see, I believe he got rid of 1 with his Sycamore, so he's going to be able to do Oblivion Wing here, do 30 damage, and attach to his bench Tyranitar. Now, I'm in the driver's seat here. I get the energy on the Miltank, but I don't quite know what to do. Now, because I'm not going to get the KO here. Now, I'm in the driver's seat, and what would be lovely would be a Lysandra. I don't have one. So I use the AZ, but I don't have a Switch, so I pick up the Shaman. If I had a Switch, what would have been a much better play... you see I can Shaman for 6 there, which is nice, but had I had a Switch, the better play would have been to pick up the Shaman, switch into the Miltank, get the KO on the Yveltal, and then I really am in the driver's seat there, and a Muscle Band as well would have been perfect, but what do we expect? So I've not quite got the KO, and this is the problem. Now the good news is, I went first, so even if I had got Miltank in the active last turn, he still wouldn't have been KO'd that turn. But my opponent, you can see there, there's very little that he can do. He's got a handful of items. Now, he does get the energy, and that's worrying, because as soon as he draws into a DCE, he's going to be able to attack. So, it really is a bit of a worry here. Now, he plays down a Shaman. He ain't getting many cards. He's getting one, and it's a Sycamore, which is a great draw for him. Because as much as his hand kind of sucks, and as much as you don't want a Sycamore a whole bunch of stuff, what can you do? But he's choosing to play a Birch instead, and you can see why. Playing the Birch now saves the Sycamore for later, whereas playing the Sycamore now would not save the Birch for later. Were I him, I would have played the Sycamore, and there's a very simple reason for this. Firstly, he could be left with 4 cards, and secondly, against a deck like mine, all you need to do is have a big beefy attacker one-hit KOing my stuff, and there's a tail, so he's only getting 4 cards, and you are going to win the game. You know, by the time his Tyranitar's, and it's, you know, if I can get a Muscle Band, I'm 2-hit KOing his regular EXs, but I'm 3-hit KOing his EXs without a Muscle Band, or his Megas regardless, assuming attacking with Miltank. That's slow, ladies and gentlemen. I am giving him a few turns to get set up. So the faster he can set up, the higher his chances of winning go. Now here, I appear to have nothing but a Shauna, so I play a Shauna to get some new cards. I'm looking for an energy. Now, it doesn't really matter here. Now, he could draw into a double colourless and do, I think, 130 to get the KO, but I'm not terribly worried. What I'm thinking here, essentially, is, do I retreat the Latios? Now, it's not a big deal here. I imagine if I KO him, if he's got a DCE, he puts up the Tyranitar. If he doesn't, and it looks like I didn't have an energy that turn, annoyingly, I think if I remember correctly, I drew one out of my prizes. I could be wrong. So he's going to have to put up the Yveltal here, unless he's got a DCE. And he can't risk not having a DCE. So he puts up the Yveltal, and now this is where the Miltank hurts me. Because now Latios is 2-hitting, Miltank is 3-hitting. And we know he's got a Dark Energy in a discard pile, because I just KO'd his Yveltal with a Dark Energy. So that Tyranitar is coming. So what I need to do next turn, I've got a bit of a dilemma. The question is, do I keep going with Latios, in which case I'm preserving my energy, making it more likely I can stream Miltanks in following turns, subsequent turns if you will, or do I retreat the Latios, killing 2 energy? Now I'm playing 7 energy, I'm just laying out my prizes because I'm weird like that. I'm playing 7 energy, so I should be fine. I can afford to bin 2 off a Latios. If I bin 2 energy off the Latios, it's going to be harder for me to keep the energy going with Miltanks. But what it does mean is I get the KO in 2 turns rather than 3 on the Yveltal. And he tries to attach a Spirit Link before I remind him Vileplume. It means that I kill a turn early, giving him 1 less turn to get the Tyranitar going. And crucially, I also get the Latios out of the active. And that is a dilemma here. And you can see that I've got an energy. I attach it to the Miltank. What I'm doing here is I'm playing far too conservatively. And looking at it, and I won't tell you how the game ends out, but looking at it right at the moment here, what I'm saying is, look, I can attack with a Latios. When that goes down, I have minimum 2 Miltanks ready to go. Rather than having 1 Miltank with an energy and 1 Miltank and hoping I can draw an energy. And you see I get a Gloom there for the oddish. At the time, I thought it was a safe play because I was worried about running out of energy. No, I can still do it next. Now, it didn't really make a difference that turn. Yveltal's got a retreat cost of 1. He can only do 60 damage if he retreats to the Tyranitar because he can't attach a second energy. That Latios is not going down this turn. Miltank hits for 80, which will put him on 140 total. So it wasn't a big deal. But next turn, I really need to retreat that Latios. Otherwise, I am going to be in a little bit of trouble. The question is, do I have an energy with which to retreat the Latios? Or a supporter to play to try and get the energy? Now, this is a decent play and buys me kind of time, because that Tyranitar ain't getting out the active. I think its retreat cost is 3, I want to say. It's fairly hefty. And his race is with energy. So, weirdly, I'm in control of this game, but I'm not feeling confident at this stage. Because this game, This matchup comes down very simply to, can I take enough prizes? And you see that he Mega Evolves and just ends his turn. I'm going to go up by 3 prizes, but he's going to have a Mega Tyranitar ready to go. Mega Tyranitar, he doesn't need any bats on board at this stage, ladies and gentlemen. He just needs to go, just Destroyer King, I think the attack's called. Just turn after turn after turn. And he's KOing everything. Now, this is the turn where I really need to retreat that Latios. Oh, sorry, no, he's still going. Next turn, I'm going to need to get that Latios out the active. Because if I don't retreat the Latios, it's going down. My opponent's getting 2 prizes. And it's worrying. Now, if I do retreat it, my Miltank's going down, but I can still use that Latios to do 60 damage whenever I feel like it. And it's not as if it's a bad thing having a half-dead Latios on the bench. I've got a Shaman on the bench, so we can just KO that instead. Now he gets down a second Tyranitar, and now I'm starting to worry, because I know I can free hit KO the Mega Tyranitar. And I know I'm KOing that Tyranitar in the active, and I know I can Lysandre up and kill the Yveltal on the bench. The problem is, if he can get a second Mega Tyranitar, and I know he's not going to get a second Mega Tyranitar going, because he had to bin 2 early game, but Tyranitar EX's second attack does 130. So you see there, I can play the AZ, I pick up the Vileplume, this is going to give me some turns of trainers. I play and use the Unknown to draw another card, I bench a Bunnelby, that's going to be important later on. Bunnelby, and you'll notice I've got a Gloom on the bench, so it doesn't matter that I've taken the bench space away from Vileplume. At this stage, I'm fairly confident my opponent isn't playing any Stadia, so I've still got an Oddish Gloom Vileplume in my hand. So if he does kill my Vileplume, I can just play him back down again. I'm not worried in that regard. But I'm playing the Bunnelby because I'm thinking I ain't going to deck him out. But what I'm thinking is I might need to reuse AZ, or I might need to reuse something like Lysandre. So, you know, it's going to be worth it. So I'm playing a level ball there. It looks like I'm going for an Oddish. Again, I don't need an Oddish, but it gets it out of my deck. At this stage, I want to thin my deck so that if I use Bunnelby, I've got more chance of drawing into what I need from my deck. And I need to just draw into energies and Miltanks. So, you see, I don't need anything here. And I'm just binning the Oddish straight away. I need Lysandre, I need AZ, I need energy, and I potentially need Miltank. So there's a very good chance here that I'm going to end up using this Ultra Ball to search for a Miltank. And there's my switch. Oh, I had a switch. Ooh, that's silly. Because I'm not trainer locked at this stage. I better have had a darn good reason for that. I could switch into the Miltank and not bin the energy. And then I get the KO. And then, essentially, I'm buying a turn. Because my opponent is taking 1 prize rather than 2. So, unless I absolutely needed every card in my hand more, I really should have used the switch there. Put the Miltank in the active, got the KO with Miltank, and just not let him get 2 prizes off the Latios. I'm playing conservatively, but I'm also playing a little bit lazily here. I mean, I pointed out misplay of my, of some of the chaps in game 1, so it's only fair that I point out things that I have done which were not ideal. And honestly, and I put the Vileplume down there before the end of the turn, I don't like binning that switch. I don't like leaving that Latios active. I'm getting the KO regardless. I don't know why I took the prizes from the top there, because now I've got to move them up. Maybe it just feels weird taking 2 prizes that aren't on the same row. Let's go for that. But I'm not happy with my decision there. I don't think that was the right call, because he's going to get a KO here. He's going to get the KO on the Latios. Now, my thinking is, look, I've got 2 Miltanks. If I give up 1 Miltank, I might only have 1 left. But that's still a lazy way to play it. I don't like that play at all. Because I can, I've got 3 prizes left. I need to Lysander the Yveltal on the bench with a Miltank, and I need to KO the Tyranitar. Now I've got 3 Miltanks. Now I can free hit KO the Tyranitar, and one of those hits can be a Latios. But in the meantime, I can KO the Yveltal, and that's my route to victory. That Tyranitar and the Yveltal. Or potentially, if I can find enough Lysanders, I can actually just KO the other Tyranitar on the bench, because I know that other Tyranitar ain't getting megaed. It is unfortunately a shame that I was unable to draw into my, I believe, my second muscle band for the Miltank on the bench, because then that the Tyranitar on the bench would have been brought into 2-hit KO range, which would have bought me an extra turn. Now, I've put Bunnelby active there, and my consideration is, do I get AZ or do I get Lysander? I'm using its Rototiller attack, which allows you to take, well, you take one card from your deck and put it in, discard and put it into your deck. But of course, it's got the Omega Barrage ancient trait, which allows you to use it twice. And I believe here I'm just going to get my 2 Lysandras back, because I'm thinking if I can keep one of those EXs in the active, unfortunately, and just like we saw with John's Beautifly deck in round 2, I can't one-hit KO that Shaman. So it's not going to work. So what I'm thinking is, if I can just drag that bench Tyranitar active and kill it, and then use the second Lysandra for the Yveltal, I'm going to win the game here. Still got 4 prizes left. The problem is, he's going down to 3 prizes as well. So annoyingly, this game now just turns into, can I top deck the Lysandra? And this is exactly how it was always going to play out. I didn't get the quick win. So it's literally, can he set up enough Pokemon before I get completely screwed over? Now, I believe I've got 1 AZ left in the deck. So if I grab that, then I can get my Vileplume back and, you know, maybe get the Muscle Band on Miltank. But I need to hit one of the Lysandras now so that I can pull up that bench Tyranitar. Now, I've got the Miltank and the energy. And remember, if I'd have let him kill a Miltank, not the Latios, he'd be on 4 prizes now. I'd have an extra turn. Now, I play the Shaman there for 2 because I need the Lysandra. That's my win. I don't get it. So here, I'm basically thinking it's not going to work out. I've got to attack into the Tyranitar. That's a 3-hit KO. At which point, I go down to 1 prize, and assuming I've drawn into it, he's taken 2 prizes. I do the third. Oh, there we go. It's in my hand. I'll do 80, he'll get a KO and go down to 2 prizes. I'll put him up to 160, he'll get a KO and down to 1 prize. I'll put him up to 240, I'll go down to 1 prize. And as long as he's got 1 energy for that bench Tyranitar, he KOs my last Miltank and wins the game. That's how it's going to go. Had I got on the Lysandra, then a similar thing happens, except there's a chance he doesn't get the KO right away. And in fact, he doesn't have any energy in hand, so he wouldn't, well, he could have played the Sycamore to get the energy. Otherwise, he wouldn't have got the 1-hit KO. And then I can just play a Lysandra to KO the Yveltal, and then we're okay. And again, had I not let him kill the Latios, he's on 4 prizes now, so even knocking out all 3 of my Miltank doesn't win him the game. So what I could do here, and I've got the second Latios in my hand, I could KO the Yveltal first to go down to 2 prizes, lose a Miltank, but then I could Lysandra the bench Tyranitar, hit it with a Miltank, he takes a prize, hit it with a Miltank, he takes a prize, he's now down to 1 prize, and I can use my second Latios EX, he'll be on 20 HP at that stage to just get the KO. That's my win condition. Of course, he could also potentially retreat the Tyranitar and put paid to that entire plan. But I'm basically, I'm trying to explain to you kind of, because obviously I played this game myself, I'm trying to explain to you what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. This is not a great matchup for me. And it's awkward. Now, the good news is Tyranitar EX has a retreat cost of 4, so he'd had to have hit an energy and retreated it fully, and he doesn't know that I'm out of Lysandra or out of Bunnelby. At which point, if I hit a Lysandra, not only do I draw the Tyranitar active, he is never going to get enough energy on there in time. The problem is here, we are limping to an inevitable conclusion. As long as he hits 1 energy, I cannot win this game. My only hope is that he never hits another energy. Now, he doesn't have it, but he's got a Sycamore. So, like I say, I haven't hit the Lysandra yet. if I can KO the Mega Tyranitar and he doesn't have an energy. Now, the other thing, and this I believe is a mistake on Will's part here, he's got a Sycamore in hand and he hasn't played it. Now, if he's following... Oh, no, he has got an energy in hand, sorry, so he doesn't need... I was thinking if he didn't have an energy in hand, he should be playing the Sycamore, so that if he didn't hit the energy, he could play another support on next turn to try and hit it. He's got the energy, there's nothing I can do here, I'm going to knock out the Tyranitar and he's going to win. But this is the way this game goes. You know, my deck is not built for long, drawn-out matches against big EX decks, and unfortunately, that's what I'm facing. I shouldn't have been favoured in this match. Will, as long as he just keeps drawing energy, he's going to be absolutely fine, and that's exactly what we've seen here. Maybe if I'd have hit a Muscle Band earlier, I'd have been okay. Maybe if I'd have switched out the Latios, I'd have been okay. Although, like I said, my opponent could potentially have killed all his energy to retreat the Tyranitar. You know, there's lots of little things as we go through, but the reality is this game has gone one of the two ways it was always going to go. Unfortunately, the way was not, he has nothing and I roll him in a few turns. The way it went was, yeah, sorry mate, you can't kill these things. It's the danger of Vileplume, and there's the energy, so nothing we can do here. Good game, didn't win. I don't mind not winning because I lost to a deck that I should have lost to. And, that Latios play early in the game still haunts me. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. As always, thank you very much for watching. I'll be back with round 4 soon. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio. And a fun little side note about this game before I leave you today, ladies and gentlemen. I was having a chat with Will and his friend Matt after the game, and it turns out that the initial idea for this Tyranitar Bats deck actually came from Matt, who got the idea, or at least helped to form the idea, with the help of my Tyranitar video that I posted up on my YouTube channel. So it's good to know that I'm helping people to, make better decks. I just kind of wish they wouldn't use those better decks to beat me and ruin my tournament. I was one win away from getting top 4 and some points.